صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Before I start with this lecture, I think I felt that we need to finish the prior one because I have not done so. I'm going to take about 5 minutes to talk about the community, and I was supposed to discuss a political dimension, which is, I feel, is an extremely important part of a community, and how can we be active in this society, or during our time, feeling so small in comparison to the greater political system that exists in the country that you live in. As far as political dimension, here are some of the recommendations that I think each one of us can take, try to digest it, even criticize it and improve on whatever. These are just the thoughts that I felt as a result of my experience with probably about seven or eight communities across the US and Canada. I think we have the notion sometimes that we don't want to have anything to do with the system. We just isolate ourselves from a political system that exists. And I think that's really something that we need to rethink and be aware. I was politically involved in the city that I was lived in, and the Islamic community had an incredible impact on the city, because there's a difference. There's a city politics, and there is a state politics, and there are federal politics. And I feel that we should be involved at all levels as well. I was in one of the commissions, and they used to sell newspapers that are inappropriate. They had these newspaper stands. That during my time, that's how old I am. Then we had a meeting, and we made a decision as a commissioner of the city of Bell to remove these indecent magazines that existed on the streets. They sell them next to the New York Times. So that's how much impact you can have at the city level. So it's not something that cannot be done. This is an experience that I'm just sharing with you. So being involved in the city politically is extremely important. Voicing your opinion, going to the meeting, to the city that you live in, talk about these things, because that's your smaller interactions. As far as the state is concerned, we'll deal with that. But what we need to be active. That's the main point. Active in the political process of this country by engaging in political reform at the city level, state level, and federal levels. And I am going to underlie political reform. This is an extremely important part of the process. Our failures at the political level has led us to become more lame ducks. Honestly, we don't have too many voices out there, right? We are lame ducks. And we walk around. Whatever happened in San Bernardino and in the past 9/11, we did not have a voice. We don't have somebody who can especially represent the Shia community at that level. Our Sunni brothers do have it, but I don't think they have a greater impact. So we need to be a little bit more educated, and then we can learn from them, because they have come a long ways as far as that is, but not the Shia community. The Shia community has not moved forward in being part of the political system. That does not mean that we have to compromise. I'm just not insinuating that. It's very important we understand when we say reform, we are bringing our ideas of justice, of Islamic justice, into the system, right? So that failure is leading to a form of radicalism and Islamic Jewish radicalism, or any kind of radical behavior that we see that are happening. Because if we are thinking that we are the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, then I have to be the messenger of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, right? And this place is a form. We do have a freedom of speech here. I've been here since 1973, and I've spoken my mind, but I also follow the rules of the society. I do have, these are my rights. I'm not going to go around and compromise and apologize about certain things. On the contrary, I want to make a difference in the system. Or we may think that it may not happen during our lifetime. That's true, but it's a building. Your kids, third, fourth generation, that's it. They're living. This is their country. They're not going to go back, right? So they need to be able to be empowered. So it's a building process. As far as conclusion, I really don't want to go too far because I want to move forward to the change of paradigm shift. What an example of a community that comes to my mind, really, I mean, for me to understand the importance of community, is the community of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And we can sit down here and we talk. Imam Hussein's community, that small caravan, okay, if you see the interactions between the family members is completely devoid of any selfishness. There's so much love between the members of the families, and then between the Sahaba and all the members. It's as if when each one of the members went out into the battlefield, it is not only the son or the child or the wife or the mother of this particular person was so worried about the life of that person, it's the whole community. Every single member of Imam Hussein's caravan, okay, felt this is a brother, and this is a brother that is going to be going through a suffering, and that feeling was so powerful in the heart of each one of them, and that's the heat of the love of Imam Hussein. And look at how the heat is transferred. It's the heat of the love of Imam Hussein of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So see the connection. Because Imam Hussein we talk about unconditional love. It's impossible for us to really think about how much this man love he had and how much suffering he went through a few days. No one can go through. That's why he's called Sayyid al-Shuhada. That interactions between the community is the main. It's the main powerful force that is going to bring us together. And it's loving one another and tolerating one another and thinking about another, our brothers and sisters in Islam. Brothers and sisters in Islam. Okay. I grew up in a small village. Subhanallah, this was so simple and innocent. All the adults were like my moms. All the males were like my fathers, right? Yeah, there is a little bit of maybe negative part of that as a child. You do not dare do anything wrong because everybody's watching you. I mean, you go from place to place and all the adults are there taking care of you. And after that, you feel that love, that bond. And this is what I'm talking about, the community. Every single adult is responsible for the child, and every single child should be respecting, the adults. That's the relationship. If it doesn't exist, if I'm walking around and I see a child who is not mine, but who is basically a child of my brothers and sisters, and I try to correct him, and the parents intervene, says, "None of your business." This is not Islamic. This is more Western. I did not grow up like this. If I messed up, the adult, whether it's my mom or dad, and it's given. My mom and dad know that this person is taking care of me and is basically putting me in my place. We have lost that. It's very important we understand this dynamics, especially in the centers, especially in the centers. because that's where these things need to be practiced. Because you don't have a neighborhood where you can practice that. It's not a village. So the centers should be that forum where this interactions between the children and the adults and the children and the community members, they have that heat, right, of the love of Imam Hussein. If you really have that heat of the love of Imam Hussein, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's the path. I don't want to go through hadith, but he's the path. That's it. If you have that heat inside, done. You don't become tired anymore. You don't. Because Imam Hussein, Allah, because of Imam Hussein, is going to give you the energy to move forward. So let's take that and take it to our communities and practice it. كل يوم عاشوراء وكل أرض كربلاء. And I'll conclude with that. Every single day and every single time is Karbala. That means every day we need to practice that. That unselfish love towards our community members. That compassion toward, tolerate them no matter what. There were Christians in there. There were slaves. People from different races. Small ummah, right? So I want you to take that and inshallah it can be practiced, and I'm hopeful that we can. Let's move to the subject matter, inshallah. Education and the need of paradigm shift. Am I doing the presentation here? Okay. I've been a principal in education for about over 25 years now. This is accumulation of my experience and some of the research that I found in how can we improve on the educational system in the United States of America. I mean, that's basically where I have practiced most of the time, and this is the field that I have been doing for some time. And these are some of the things that I experienced as a result of that experience. I'm sharing some of those who are in different communities and would like to start, whether it's homeschooling or a small school or a larger school, some of the things that you need to take into consideration. First of all, I would like to go over the history of the education system in here in the United States. We all know that we're struggling. In the educational system, if you have not been informed or you're not reading about it, all into politics, the educational system in the United States is struggling. And the way it's measured is through how much workers we can put out there to serve capitalist system. I'm going to basically say, I'm going to give you some why this is happening. This system is created to graduate workers. Okay? And it's an awesome system, right? Don't misunderstand, because that's very important. But there's one basic element that does not exist, is the spiritual aspect of that system. Okay. So if you're not graduating educated workers, then your system, the capitalist system, will collapse. That's why there's supply and demand right now as far as jobs are concerned. Yeah. You go into, for example, Silicon Valley is the heart of the technology all across the world right now. Everybody wants to go in technology right now because it makes a lot of sense. They say for the next 35, 40 years, jobs in technology are going to be the highest. They have increased like 200 to 300%. Right? And we need to survive, we need to work. So this is the supply and demand that the capitalist system, create. Now, I want you to take a look at this picture a little bit here. And it'll sum us up. If you look at the first one to the left, where the kids are just sitting there bored, somebody is sleeping. And then you have, on the other side, you have a professor or a teacher in red, and everybody is in blue. That's basically what we're trying to do. We're trying to brainwash our kids to just think everybody the same. Everything's because it's a mechanical system. Creativity, the arts, being inquisitive is being killed. And it's confusing also parents, because parents just gonna want to go along. And I just threw a couple of things here that is important. There's supposedly our cousin, one of our cousins on the side says, do you think they know what they are talking about? And then the respond on the other side says, these fools, you see, he's so depressed. He says, these fools, they got it all wrong. Once I was a human. I mean, sometimes we think that we go in the right directions, but we go in the wrong direction. And in education, I think we're going in the wrong direction. Why do I think that way? Why are my conclusions? Okay, the beginning of human domestication started when the Industrial Revolution took place. And you can see the similarities between the classroom setup and the factory system setup. Very, very close. And why? Because we needed workers. We needed workers, and that's when it kind of interesting that free public education started. It's not because we wanted to educate our kids or we wanted to be educated human beings. We wanted them to be basically educated workers. Now, what is the solution? I want to look at a little bit of it because I don't have enough time. I have about 5, probably 7 minutes. What is the solution to all this? First of all, the solution has to do, it's comprehensive. In the school system, there are 3 things. There is curriculum, there is facilities, and there is human resources. And these are the 3 components of a school system. Throughout my years of experience, I find that the environment, the natural environment or the physical environment is an extremely important part of the educational system. And if you look at our schools, they're built like jails. I tell the kids, my students, I tell them, this is a jail. You come from 8 to 3 o'clock, you're in a jail. How are you going to act? You walk on the line, you have to be in the line, you have to be straight, you have that's okay to have structure and order. But this is how the system, this is how we created education. You're just standing and you walk into any schools. This is the image that we get. And it's similar to the factory system. And it's similar to the jail system. Right? So we're here to program and educate workers. What are my recommendations? My recommendation is if you have not had a school or if you have a school, make sure that the kids interact with the natural environment. Okay, I've been experimenting with this. The natural environment cuts down on behavior, increases attention. Okay. It focuses on cooperation. Really, I mean, this is a natural I don't have to teach these kids to cooperate. Even when they come back into the jail system, because we don't have that facility, I transport my kids on a daily basis per grade every day to a natural reserve in Northern California, and there's a pavilion, and they learn math, science, they learn language art in that little tiny place, and there's windows open all the time. When they're done, they go outside and they create games and they play. And when they go back to the school, completely different. The energy is different. So that's I'm encouraging you. Even at home, I'm encouraging you. Okay? And then if you don't have that, make sure that they are into creating some sort of a planting, have a garden with vegetables. I have a little bit of space where I took this school off and I cut it into different parcels and I created a garden for each class is a garden. This is how excited these kids are. Let me show you some of the pictures. Oh, I think I backed it up. Look at that. This is something that is practiced on a regular, and the kids are happy. They come into the classrooms, they do have the energy.
And it's part of our curriculum. Right? So it's very important that the kids touch dirts. Move it. Imam Ali alayhi salam was a farmer. Yeah. So we live in a very synthetic system that we are completely devoid of seeing on. I have some kids who were so afraid of, the first time they went to the park, and they're so afraid to touch things. They're so afraid to play with dirts. And all of a sudden, that fear went out. I had kids right now, if they see an ant inside of the building, they take it, put it in their hand, and they say, Brother Sami, this is haram, we shouldn't be killing it. They take it outside into its natural environment. That's pretty powerful. Right? And it can be practiced at home. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the curriculum. And I probably won't be having any time to go about the staff, but I'll really talk the curriculum because I think it's very important that we share that. The curriculum, we need to understand that Islam should be the heart of the curriculum. No two ways about it, right? But one of the issues is, even in our Islamic school system, you have the academia and then you have Islamic study. Separation. It has to be integrated. We take now what we do, we tell, I mean, right now it's going to be, but it has to transition. My teachers and I are working on, we take a theme. We'll take the theme, the ant. Okay, it's in the Quran. We talk about the ant from the Quranic perspective, and then we build on that, because what is an ant? An ant is an insect. Okay, an insect, and you can build, and things become more complex. This is the kind of a curriculum we would like to see. Interactive, holistic, not cut it down into pieces. Because once we begin to cut down reality into pieces, then that's where the sense of separation comes. And then you need to make sure that you build the right end and the left brain. So art is extremely important. Making objects, alhamdulillah, I've seen, in the program here, they're doing an awesome job. A lot of interactive. And that's what you need to see. I'm giving you anything you want. You do research. These kids who are going to leave the conference, because of that interactive, if they haven't done it, they have learned in these 4 days, in these 3-4 days, more than they have learned in 3 months anywhere else. And then even in those systems that they go to, they learn it the next week or the week, 2 weeks, and you guys know it. You forget it. But these kids are not going to forget what they have learned today. So that's very important. We have to also teach, not only in Islamic studies, not only, and very extensively, all the lives of the prophets. If we are to make an effect in this society, okay, because these are the prophets of Islam. But we have a tendency, the people, we view ourselves, or the people we know, the people on the outside view us as not the followers of Ibrahim alayhi salam, or not the followers of Isa alayhi salam. Right? So we have to make sure that we extensively include these in our Islamic studies. In conclusion, we should train administrators, teachers, and develop a matrix of learning, an Islamic model of education that liberates our minds. See, education is about to liberate the person, not to subjugate, but our education system is to subjugate, to create a master and a slave relationship. And Islam does not promote that, to promote independence in learning, independence in inquiry, because but we have to create that matrix. We need to, the reason I said liberate, we have to make sure that the education includes certain aspect of the curriculum, should include things and themes that liberate us from the shackle of materialism. In all its forms, materialism as a superstructure has created greed, racism, radicalization of ideologies, inequality, subjugation, despite its successes in many fields. I'm not denying that fact. Okay? Materialism did not bring peace and equality in the world. On the contrary, it's promoting division, violence, selfishness, unhappiness, and a great amount of suffering in the world. We need to shift the superstructure to balance between material education and spiritual education. Because we were born and created out of a soul and a body. There has to be a balance between the two. And that's Islam teaches us this, right? So it's extremely important that we create a balance. And also by creating the balance between the worldly and the afterworld, these two worlds, combining them together, we will be able to elevate ourselves to become a community, to build. Because the school, eventually these young men and young ladies, the children, are going to be members of the larger community. So we have to prepare them to go into that direction, inshallah. Thank you very much. May Allah bless you. And I hope I was as clear as possible. I think there will be questions and answers, inshallah. I will conclude with the salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And Hubb al-Hussein, one more time, please. For Fatima Zahra, a third time.